worked at this station for as long as I've been alive. His name is Tom Atkins. He is the meteorologist for Jet-24 Fox 66 out of Erie, Pennsylvania. Tom, thank you for this interview.
My pleasure. Good having you on staff. And since we met when you were in junior high school, 18 years ago or something?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so we go way back. And so I'm going to ask him a series of questions, get to know Mr. Atkins a little better, find out what got his start in meteorology and where do we see him in the future. So my first question to you, Tom, is just that same question. What made you pursue meteorology?
I loved snow as a kid. Honestly, I found out that you got a day off of school if it snowed heavily enough. So I set on, a quest to figure out when the next snowstorm was. My parents, both of whom were teachers, saw this interest in me. I liked to sit and watch the evening news with my dad, and especially the weather portion. So they bought me an actual weather station when I was in first grade, a running, operational weather station with equipment like a thermometer, a barometer, an anemometer, a rain gauge, and I remember going to first grade, what they had back then called show and tell, and taking it out, and the anemometer cups were flying around in the wind as we stood outside with the class, and that's how it started.
Tom, that is just like me. I remember my mother buying me a weather station, and I built it up just like you said, the anemometer, the weather vane, and a rain gauge. So there it goes.
You got the bug.
Yes, I got the bug. Now, did you always want to be on television when you were growing up?
Yeah, because that's what I saw the meteorologists doing. It was on TV. This man was talking about the forecast and storms and the like. So that's what I linked it to. Now, quickly I learned there were other meteorology jobs, but it was, I guess, because my parents were teachers and they were always good at explaining things, that when I found something as fascinating as weather, I wanted to teach it. I wanted to explain it. I wanted to talk about it.
That is good. I like that. And I love that you said there's other avenues to meteorology. I think that's where some folks kind of get a little lost, especially when they're aspiring meteorologists. They think, oh, there's television. No, there's, behind the scenes, you got aviation, you have the National Weather Service. It's a broad picture in meteorology.
Yeah, and ironically enough, I started out in private weather. I did not go directly into television. So I worked at two private weather forecasting companies before I got into TV, one in New Jersey and one in Iowa, where I went to school. And they were both great experiences because they taught you accuracy and the penchant for accuracy, because they're only in business because they could provide something that was more accurate to their clients and be able to charge you money. So, if you're going to put your money where your mouth is, that's a good way to start.
I like that. So we're going to stick to the television part.
Right.
So the next question I want to ask you is, just describe a typical work day for you, Tom.
Well, it's a lot different than it used to be because, I've been in this business for a long time, over 30 years, and there used to be less newscasts. There was no internet. There was no social media. So it was a very simple job in that there weren't as many responsibilities. You made a forecast. You made your TV graphics. You might have had 2 or 3 shows a night, and that was it. And you did some radio work in between, that kind of thing. But now there is so much more to do, and it takes away from your forecasting time. There's so many more models to look at. There's social media, there's radios, there's TV, and so the day goes flying by, and I wish I had more time in the day. I come in early, I leave late, and so my day has gone from, basically television shows, maybe a few radios, to all that extra stuff. And we found out that the best forecasts are made by consensus. So we use the team approach here. Everybody talks to everybody else. We always leave a note for the next person, not just on the forecast, but any office business and things that we think are important with the job. And also, of course, mainly a forecast and what we're thinking and why we're forecasting what we are. So we're all on the same page. And so we hopefully provide a more accurate forecast. And so we are constantly communicating in the event of severe weather, especially. That gets ramped up because covering severe weather is a lot more intense than just your everyday forecasting. So there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of coordination that goes on in doing this job to do it effectively.
Now, I like that you said you guys are a team, so you're always communicating. It's never like, okay, you do your shift and go home, and morning meteorologist has to figure out what's the next forecast going to be, or the weekend meteorologist. Like, you guys are in constant contact with one another.
Right, because like I said, I knew a guy who was a very good forecaster, and he did his master's thesis on consensus forecasting. And he's right. You know, if you go it alone, you're going to have problems. And also, the product that's seen throughout the day on television or radio or whatever social media platform is going to change radically a lot of times, because one guy will think one thing, another guy may think the total opposite, and it just doesn't make for good continuity. So not only is consensus better for accuracy, but the team approach is better because, you know, there's no one on top and there's no one on the bottom. There's people with more experience and people with less experience. But this is a very inexact science, especially in a lake climate in which we live. There's no apps that handle it. We have to learn from trial and error. And so communication is essential, not only for accuracy, but to provide something that people want to see. So if you don't talk and you go it alone, you're going to fall. And so the idea here in our office is there are no chiefs, we're all warriors. We're in this thing together. We rise and fall together. And, you know, that's the way to handle an inexact science in a lake climate with many microclimates.
Oh, I like that. There you go. So with that being said, just what is your weather storytelling style?
Well, it's just basically teaching because I'm so fascinated by it. Just different phenomena. It could be as simple as somebody taking a picture, and I get lots of pictures, and I love to use pictures because pictures are worth 1,000 words, and everybody's got a camera now. So you can explain whether it's the forecast or some extra tidbit just by using pictures. And you can use graphics too. That's very helpful, especially with what we have nowadays with the color and the animation and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a story, and it changes every day because we're not in Phoenix, you know, we're not in San Diego. We're by a lake, and it's not just a precipitation challenge; it's a temperature challenge. So use all the tools you can find to make it interesting, and just give them more than a forecast.
And before I move on to the next question, I'm glad he brought that up about living near a lake. It produces a lot of microclimates around here, ladies and gentlemen. If you've never been around to the Great Lakes, you can ask any meteorologist or forecaster. They'll tell you that forecasting along this lake is a challenge. It really is, because one area can be sunny, go a couple miles down the road, boom, rain or snow showers, and vice versa. So yes, lake creates microclimates. So you did bring up how you said social media. You used it before. So how does social media impact your forecast?
Well, it's just an advantage in the way that it's a two-way conversation. Now, that can be good and that can be bad in any subject on social media. But if you want, say, during severe weather, and we rely on this a lot, Facebook Live, you have the opportunity to have people giving their reports, which is invaluable in a severe weather situation. So we do Facebook So especially during severe weather, people can tell you exactly what it is like where they are, which can only help your accuracy. If you have a better picture of what's going on at the time. So that, getting stuff out on social media, making a post saying there's a severe thunderstorm watch is, kind of rudimentary and primary and good forecasting. But taking it to the next level and getting information from viewers makes our job, or hopefully makes us more accurate. You know, uh, not everybody is skyworn trained, but people have sets of eyes and can describe situations. Uh, and that's been very good to us, and I use that. We use that a lot, just during a severe weather event, to help the on-air person, to help maybe even the news department, all work together to get reports and get the actual situation that's going on right now accurate, and then from there you can hopefully make um, a more accurate forecast.
So social media helps out a lot, and I can contest myself. A few weeks ago, there was severe weather moving through the Erie region, and Mr. Atkins, Tom Atkins, the other meteorologist, and Jacob Matthews were all here on a Thursday, just giving out all the information. Tom was on the wall while the other guys were back here, and I was even assisting. And not only that, like you said, this is definitely a team effort because it was me, it was the two camera ops out here, and even the newsroom. Like everyone was all in unison to get the word out to explain, okay, the storms are coming in, they're causing damage, power outage. It's good to inform the public what's happening. And social media helps out too because they were doing it social. They were doing a Facebook Live as well.
Yeah, and I think when you're dealing with, and we've always thought our goal here, our mission is what we do most, first and foremost, is to protect life and property. So if you've got anything that can help you with that, when the weather gets ugly, people get worried, and part of that is to give them accurate information in a calm manner, not getting them to watch you by being sensational. Reporting the facts and then going from there, making your best forecast from that. Another way we do that is we have a storm chasing team, and that provided on Thursday that you talk about, Dorian, was invaluable because what he was able to do was get under a rotating supercell that had been tornado warned from a radar standpoint by the National Weather Service and verify on the ground that there was nothing that touched down or ever touched down. And when you can give that kind of assurance to the public and say, okay, you do have a tornado warning, you want to use your tornado safety preparedness, but right now it is warning based on radar. We have a storm chaser in the area. There is no tornado on the ground. Just continue to be vigilant, and we'll follow this thing until it expires. That's good television. That's good social media. That saves lives and property.
And I can contest to that because it was tornado warned, but that's all it was. It was radar indicated. There was no confirmation, and the storm chaser did say that. So that's a good thing.
Right.
Never want to hear the T word and you're like, oh no.
And you don't want to use it recklessly either. You got to be very careful, and that's part of our motto here, which is to prepare, not scare. You can look at all kinds of different data and guidance as a meteorologist, and you can believe whatever you want to believe, but there's a way to convey information about severe weather without causing a panic, without trying to scare people into watching you. You gain credibility by being there, number one. Just be there. If the weather's dangerous, make sure you're showing up for the people. Second of all, make sure what you're saying is true. Third of all, don't sensationalize. And fourth of all, be there till the end, until the threat is gone. And that's what saves lives and property, and that's what makes people comfortable and loyal to what your mission is.
That was beautiful. So let's move on because I'm curious about this next question. It's actually a two-parter. So the first part is, well, how do you avoid burnout on the job? And the follow up on that is, what do you do to like decompress? How does Tom just relax and not think about weather 24/7?
Well, that's kind of hard to do because, weather is my passion and it has been since I was in first grade. And the only way I knew, based on having teachers for parents, was always to do your best, whatever it took. And so, I don't know that I'm very good at decompressing. I know how to sleep. I can sleep anywhere, anytime. So I guess that's my best method. Um, but I've just been blessed. I have good genes, and I've been able to do it. Now, I'm not in Oklahoma City where these guys are on the air for 6 or 8 hours. I've never had to do that. The most I've had to be on the air straight was 3. But just as an example, the other day I was here for 16 hours. Now, nothing really big or bad happened, but the National Weather Service happened to issue a tornado watch at the end of my shift, around 2 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock in the morning. So, for the better part of the overnight, I was here. I was doing some Facebook Lives, I was running some crawls on TV, and we were just watching. But it did total up to 16 hours. And earlier in the evening, I had to be on TV for a warning. And other than that, it wasn't a big severe weather event by any stretch of the imagination. It was just something that could have turned worse. It didn't. Just babysit it, and it's a long day. Certainly, you're tired when you're after that. So I generally know when to pass the baton, and then I just go home and relax as best I can and sleep. Because there's always plenty to do. This is not a rich profession. I do a lot of yard work. I do a lot of housework, and so there's always physical avenues, to use. And I find that physical activity definitely gives you a good mindset and also a balance between mental exercise. So I don't have the perfect formula. I'm not a gym rat, although I'm not a couch potato. You know, what works for me is just do your best, go home, use common sense, do what you have to do at home, and try to get proper rest. Now, trying to get proper rest, sometimes I fall short on, but that's okay. I mean, like I said, I'm blessed with good genes, and I try to stay healthy. So, catch up on the weekend or something. I don't know.
So you do decompress. Yeah, that is something you're good at. You don't just hold on. So I had a bad forecast for this. I know I do my job and then I just go.
Yeah. I mean, there are times when emotions run high. Of course, you don't want to show that on the air by any stretch, but we have a passion for the job. We don't like to be wrong. We don't want to be wrong, especially when it's a life-threatening situation. And thankfully, we're very blessed that I don't think we've ever really done anything irresponsible or really blown a forecast that bad. And the opposite, I think, is true. We've been there a lot of times to be there when perhaps others weren't there, and that's our pride and joy. If somebody says to us, "We tuned in, you guys were there, you had it covered, you did not make us nervous or you weren't panicked," then and we watch you. That's the best thing anybody can tell you, and decompressing from that is fairly easy.
I completely understand.
about it that much because I don't see color. You know, all I want is excellence. You know, I'm not here to say, you know, you belong here or you don't belong here. That's not me. I mean, I grew up in the New York City metropolitan area. You know, I learned to speak Spanish on the subway. I didn't have to take a course. Okay, so we don't see those kinds of things here. We've had women, we've had Asian women. You know, maybe Dorian, we can hire you sometime. You know, that's not the deal. You just got to do your job and have a work ethic, even if you're not tremendously skilled. Because in a small market, you know, we don't have the cream of the crop because people want to get to bigger markets and don't want to work weekends in Erie, Pennsylvania. But you know, everybody's got to start somewhere. So to me, it's not a question of color, race, creed, or ethnicity. It's a question of, do you want to play on our team? You know, do you want to buy into the fact that we're the number one station and, you know, it takes a long time to get a reputation and not a long time to blow it. So we have been given a gift here. If you want to work and you want to strive for excellence and you don't care about, you know, how much time you got to put in within reason, because weather never sleeps, and we want you. You know, that's basically it. There's no lines drawn on any other levels. You know, we want to be good. We want to do the best job we can, and anybody of any kind of race, creed, ethnicity that wants to do that, we want them. That's it.
That's right, both. He grew up in New York City, so Tom is well diverse. Like he's seen it all. Now,
yeah, I mean, you know, just as an example, I don't know if this applies to anything, but where I grew up, you know, the Jewish holidays, you got a day off from school. You know, that was a great thing. We were very happy to have Jewish people in our community, even though I'm not. I mean, you know, you just get along. You know, you just get along and try to do the best you can because you know you're only given so much time. You're given an amount of talent, so just use your talent and your common sense, and don't get sidetracked by politics and other stuff. You know, we're in here to fulfill a mission, not to make a statement on another level. We're meteorologists. We want to provide accurate forecasts and protect lives and property to everyone in the population.
Tom is dropping some gems, folks. Pay very close attention to this commentary. Now, moving on, I'm glad you brought about work ethic. That's big. Not only just in our business, but just in general. You got a strong work ethic, you're gonna go far. So that next question, I'm actually gonna say, what skills should an inspiring meteorologist have on their resume? What should they be doing now to help them get the job?
Get an internship. That's the best thing I did before graduating from college. Work in a place where you want to work and learn from the people that are already there working. That's invaluable because now you know the ropes. Now you've been in the environment. There's only so much you can be taught in a classroom or online or in a textbook. I mean, and I teach college, so I'm not in any way, you know, anyway minimizing education in the classroom because I do that. But for this field, yeah, the best thing you can do is get an internship, in my opinion, in the kind of place that you would like to work.
Good advice. Good advice. So, staying on that, here's another, two-part question. Now, any advice for a new meteorologist, when they get the job? And to follow up, what do you have to say during the negotiation phase? Where it's like, okay, relocation fees, salary, any advice you can give?
Well, you know, just use common sense. I mean, you can easily research an area and what the cost of living is. You can ask relocation fees. That's a great, I would say, bargaining chip because, you know, it costs more money each year to do whatever you want to do, whether it's relocate or just live. So I just, you know, I approach things from a passionate point of view. I'm going to give Now they might laugh in your face, they might take you up on your offer, but the way I've done it is just I've had a good relationship with uh, every organization that I've worked with. People come and go. There's always personality clashes. But as far as getting a job, how bad do you want a job? I mean, I remember what I made. I remember when I was in private weather in college and they paid me gas money. You know, I don't care. At that level, I wanted the skills. I wanted the experience. So you do what you have to do. You work extra jobs or whatever to get your foot in the door. That's fine. I work an extra job right now. You know, I teach at Penn State. So it's the passion and common sense, you know, and you usually get a feel for it. I mean, decisions are tough. I've seen people, you know, should I stay or should I go? You don't know what the new place is going to exactly be like. You don't know the environment. Everybody's nice to you at first. Is it going to work out? Am I going to like the weather? Am I going to like the hours? It's tough, you know, but ultimately, all you can do is roll the dice using your best judgments based on your best research and a little bit of gut feeling, you know, and talk to other people too. You know, people that perhaps have been in the business or been at a place you want to be or whatever. You know, just get educated. Abundance of counselors, there's wisdom. That's just one of the things I live by.
I like that philosophy, Tom. And you are right about having that gut feeling. Like, at the end of the day, it really comes down to how bad you want the job. And if you want it, okay, what are you going to do to get it and maintain it? Everything you just said in that last question, I agree with 100%.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I was just happy to be there, you know, and of course it was a lower cost of living and everything else back then. But whatever, man, that was my dream. So, yeah, I'll show up. Give me whatever you're going to give me. I want the experience and I want to learn, you know.
He followed his dreams, ladies and gentlemen. And look where he's at now.
Yeah, I am very blessed.
Good, good. So, now we're at the final question. And this is something I kind of put together before we started our interview. Since you have been loving weather since you were a kid, you've been in this business for 20 plus years. I remember watching you when I was a kid in the 90s during severe weather events. You were just doing it. But I gotta ask you, name me one significant weather event in your career that just stuck.
Well, there's been a few, but one of them was the Palm Sunday severe weather outbreak in 2019. We were on the air. It was a Sunday afternoon, Palm Sunday, and I would say for close to 3 hours, you know, tracking storms. And I remember one time, one part of that was that there was large hail and there was a lot of wind. And when I was on the air, the wind really ramped up, and we had a weather station on top of the building here, and the guys used to peek out the door and you know check the weather because we're all self-enclosed with no windows, as most studios and meteorology offices and TV are. And all I heard was I'm on the air, and all I heard was one of the guys yell, "Close the door!" And then they went over to the anemometer, and then the sound just started getting louder and louder. And for a few seconds there, you know, it wasn't freight train, it was just loud. And I thought maybe the wall was going to fall. And then when they checked the anemometer after the gust had calmed down, it was an 80-mile-per-hour gust. And that certainly stands out because for a few seconds there I thought, hey, are we going to be able to go on, you know, and do this and help people? Or are we the ones that are going to need help? So that was significant. I'd like to say also, back in like 2010, there was some overnight severe weather, and I was here with the weekend meteorologist, and we were able to get on the air alternately. We had two stations at the time. We couldn't do both at once, but there was a tornado that touched down around 2:30 in the morning, and it actually killed one person. We did not know that at the time. It was a small tornado, but we were here, and we were able to on the air, and we were the only people that were on the air for that event. And I'm very proud of that because, you know, like I say, the weather never sleeps. And one of the great things that my longtime colleague and good friend Tom Atkins said a long time ago that has always stuck with me is they will know you by their storms. And that storm, somebody died in it, and it was in the middle of the night, and we didn't go to bed, we didn't go home, we just followed it, and we were there, and we talked about it, and we got on the air. So that stands out significantly in my mind as one of the best nights.
You have just heard Tom Atkins talk about his life journey, and here we are, still doing what he's doing. I'm blessed to have known this man. I'm learning from him every time I step foot in this studio, and one day I'll be doing what he's doing, and that's giving the forecast. Tom, thank you very much for this interview. Thank you. So just listen from this, and if you are an aspiring meteorologist or you're just a weather weenie, keep learning. Always keep learning. There is so much information out there, and the one thing about this job is that you're always learning. Even